Today I'm going to be starting a new series called the Proverbs 31 Modern Day Woman, so please join me. Welcome to the Bold Encourager. I'm Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be starting a new series about the Proverbs 31 Modern Day Woman. What that looks like in today's world, right? Because when you read through Proverbs 31, you think this is not something I can accomplish. But I'm going to show you that this is something we can do today and why it's important to follow these guidelines to be a godly woman, right, in today's world. So regardless if you're married or not, and this is for women that are single, married, widowed, all those things, right? Because you can be a Proverbs 31 woman regardless of your marital status. And I'm going to show you how you can do that. Either you're preparing for marriage, or you're married and you can always improve as a wife, or you're a widow and you're married to Jesus, right? And you still have the ability to be a Proverbs 31 woman. And so in today's modern world, it's not acceptable to be godly for some reason, right? So how do we do that with the way things are? We're going to be talking about 10 different characteristics that the Proverbs 31 woman has, right? And in this episode, I'm going to be sharing that she is a faithful bride and she is a hard worker. So let's read the Proverbs 31 verses that talks about the faithful wife. Proverbs 31, 10 through 12, and that's New Living Translation. Who can find a virtuous and capable wife? She is more precious than rubies. Her husband can trust her, and she will greatly enrich his life. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. Hi, bubbies. The thing is, a virtuous woman has her husband's trust. She speaks, acts, and lives wisdom. She's a blessing to her husband, and she's committed to him. So the thing is, a lot of times it's hard to act and speak and live wisdom, but if we want to be the women that really represent God and represent Christ, we have to live this way. And we want to be a blessing to our husbands. If you're not married, you can start preparing yourself to be ready for that, because marriage is a tough gig, right? As you know, wives, right? The ones that are married, it's tough, right? It isn't easy. It's probably really difficult for anyone, regardless if you have a lot in common, whether you both are Christian or not, one of them are Christian, one's not. There's so many variables. And because you're bringing two people together with two different life experiences, there's going to be hardship. But there's a way to present ourselves to make it so that we can be honorable as wives to our husbands. And I'm going to go over this. It doesn't mean that you are not to have a voice in your marriage. That's not what it means. What it truly means is to be in a partnership with your husband, and so that you two can work together to fulfill your calling, both of your callings, and that can be done in a really healthy marriage. Proverbs 31:23, New Living Translation. Her husband is well known at the city gates, where he sits with the other civic leaders. So as you can see, that the Proverbs 31 woman has a husband that is respected and honored by their community, but it's because of her support, her faithfulness to her husband. So a lot of times as a wife, when you're supportive of your husband and you encourage your husband, he will be encouraged to do things for the community. He will be encouraged to do well in his life. And there's a lot of support we can lend to our husbands, because as they are the head of the household in a godly marriage, there is a lot of weight there because they're expected to lead us. So as he is the leader, we should offer our support and our encouragement, and that will help our husbands be respected by others. And they will be like, wow, you're so blessed to have such a loving wife, a godly wife. And that will be something that people will admire your husband for. So like I said, regardless if you're married, widowed, or you are a single, you can be preparing for marriage in a way that you're getting yourself ready for your husband, while you're as a wife now, you can always better yourself for your husband and be supportive. And if you're widowed, you can be there for other people, right? You can be married to Christ and be submissive to Christ in the way that you would be is submissive to a husband. So there's so many ways you can address and have these characteristics as a Proverbs 31 woman. Peter 3:1-6, New Living Translation. In the same way, you wives must accept the authority of your husbands. Then, even if some refuse to obey the good news, your godly lives will speak to them without any words. They will be won over by observing your pure and reverent lives. Don't be concerned about the outward beauty of fancy hairstyles, expensive jewelry, or beautiful clothes. You should clothe yourselves instead with the beauty that comes from within, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is so precious to God. This is how the holy women of old made themselves beautiful. They put their trust in God and accepted the authority of their husbands. For instance, Sarah obeyed her husband, Abraham, and called him her master. You are her daughters when you do what is right without fear of what your husbands might do. So wives, we need to submit to our husbands like we would submit to Christ. Now, I want to clear something up. Submission is not where you're getting beat down or abused by your husband. That is not what the Lord wants for you. Submission is like how you would submit to Christ. You have a relationship with Jesus, right? And you also respect the Lord. You have a reverence for him. And that's the way you should be with your husbands. I'm going to address the wives that are married to husbands that are not Christian. Now, I've been married for 10 years. My husband and I have been together for 15 years. It wasn't about 2 years ago that he actually became open to believing in Jesus. And he's still not a strong Christian. When we first got together, I was not a strong Christian. And so now he has finally come around, and it has been because when I first got married, I wasn't strong in my faith, so I was not a good example. It's been since I've moved out here, actually, we moved out here in 2019, that I got really close to the Lord. And so these past 7 years, I have found myself being a good example to him, and it has helped him getting closer to the Lord because now I am living it, and that has helped him come along. So I have tried to be that example to him, and it's not easy because you want your husband to be the leader, so it's better to marry someone that is a Christian. But if you find yourself in a situation where you're married to a non-believer, there's still hope. Because your example, your living example, is what really wins them over and brings them to the Lord. And so there should be a mutual respect between you and your husband. Submission is not about one partner dominating the other. Rather, it is a mutual relationship with both husband and wife, and they honor and respect each other. I don't know if you've ever heard of the book where it says women... It's called something like Men Need Respect and Women Need Love. And that's absolutely true. Men need respect. And so we honor our husbands with respect because that's what they desire, and women need love. And so in return, because you respect your husband, they will, if they don't show it right away, it will be coming to them. They will start to show you that love that you desire. So also love and trust. Submission should be rooted in love and trust. When a wife submits to her husband, it reflects her trust in his leadership and love for him. The submission is a choice made out of love, right? It's not obligation. So what does submission look like? What are the practical steps? Communicate openly. Now, I was never a good communicator when I was younger. As I got older, I became a better communicator. And I think it's hard sometimes because you think submission means, you be quiet and you don't have a voice in your marriage. That's not true. The Lord does not want it that way. He wants you to have a partnership and be able to communicate with one another, because communication is really the key to successful marriage. And I've over the years, I've been better at communicating how I feel and when I'm upset, and I make sure to communicate, because the thing is, ladies, I'm going to tell you right now, they cannot read your mind. A lot of times You see it so often. You should know how I feel. You should know what I'm thinking. You've known me long enough. They don't. They don't. Okay? Men are very simple. We're complicated. And I'll be real with you, we are just way more, have more emotions, right? So men are more like simple. They just need you to tell you A, B, C, and D. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Just be straightforward. Be honest. It doesn't mean there has to be any arguments. I think when you effectively communicate, you don't have to yell, you don't have to go off on each other. It doesn't have to be toxic. It can be open communication because he needs to know what's going on with you. And if you are open and willing to share that with him, I guarantee you it's going to better your marriage. Now, second thing is support his leadership. Be very encouraging of his leadership. If he asks you to do something and you guys can work together, and also offer some of your own advice because it's a two-way street and it works well together. And next, pray together. Now that's if you're both strong Christians, because praying together becomes easy and natural for Christians. But if you have a baby Christian husband or someone that just started believing or that's not a believer at all, it's hard to get them to pray with you. So you pray for him. You can pray over your husband, and that's going to better your marriage. If he's not there, he's not ready to do that with you yet, that's something that you as a wife are obligated to do. That's what a Proverbs 31 woman would do. I think the most important thing is you respecting him. And respecting him looks like, we don't want to talk to them in a certain tone or talk down to them or be nagging. That's not good in a marriage. A lot of times nagging causes there to be a little bit more of a division between you and the husband. So sometimes, the wife nags, sometimes the husband nags, but showing that respect for each other, don't nag each other. You can make suggestions, and if they don't do them, there's some battles you choose to fight and some battles you just don't, right? You know which battles are worth making a stance about, and there's some that are not. But also show respect for your husband by, you don't want to talk badly about your husband to other people, and that causes them to see him in a different light. So the respect thing is huge in a marriage, especially for the man. Most importantly, let's reflect Christ's love in the marriage. We need to reflect that because that's what really wins them over. To if they're not in there yet, they're not having that relationship with Christ, we reflect Christ's love to them because we're that example. And even so, if they're Christian or whatever, it's important to reflect Christ's love because that really is the solid foundation of a marriage. And I think a lot of times we're not seeing this in today's marriages, and that's why there's a lot of divorces or a lot of disputes, there's a lot of unhappiness in marriage. People don't even want to be together. They're married, but they can't stand each other. They don't want to be around each other. And these are the things that cause friction in marriage. Now, the Lord created marriage for a purpose. He saw that man should not be alone. And so that's why marriage is so important to the Lord, because he created marriage. He wanted this for his people. Genesis 2:18, New Living Translation. Then the Lord said, "It is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper who is just right for him." So wives, we should be helpful to our husbands and supportive of them. We are teammates. So the way I can give you an example of how to be helpful to your husband. For me, my husband and I are trying to always keep our house nice and everything. So the way I help him is in the yard, it's a two-person job. There's no way he can do it by himself. So whatever it takes when it comes to fixing our fence or anything, I hold things for him. I cut things for him. I help him in the way I can. He's going to be the one that's more able to do more like physical stuff, but I'm able to help him in whatever to make the job easier for him. And so when it comes to the house, I'm like the one that likes to clean and cook and everything like that. Yes, I do have those traditional values. He likes to do the vacuuming. He loves the vacuum. And then he really helps around fixing things all around the house. He fixes the cars. He does all the, more masculine things. But I help him in the yard. And I think that we all have our different duties to make our household the way it is to be successful in our household. But I think that there's ways that we can help each other in different tasks. And if, hey, it doesn't look the same for everybody. Not everybody has a huge yard like to do work in. So in some cases, it might be that you're helping your husband with IKEA furniture, right? Whatever that looks like for you, everybody has a different thing. So I just suggest, that we are helpers to our husbands, that we don't put all the work on them because maybe we're tired and we don't feel like it or whatever. I think it works well. And sometimes you build a stronger connection when you help each other with different tasks. And it helps you see that you're there for each other and you are teammates. Hard worker. Now we're going to be talking about the importance of being a hard worker and why the Proverbs 31 woman is a hard worker. Proverbs 31:13, New Living Translation. She finds wool and flax and busily spins it. This woman is busy, hardworking, and creative. She knows how to seek and find things for the home. So like you could be decorating your house or whatever. That's hard work. And you might be doing renovations on your house. I mean, we painted some of our rooms here just to make them fully renovated. I hadn't painted before and I was able to do that, right? So there's a lot of things you can do that's hardworking for your household or for your job, but you like to work with your hands, right? So sometimes you have to do a little bit of hard labor on your house, and I've actually turned my chicken coop when we moved in here, there was a chicken coop in our backyard, and I turned it into a she shed. And I had to do demolition, I had to clean it out and everything. It was hard work. Also do hard work around the yard, and I'm not afraid to use my hands, right? I think sometimes as women we think, oh, I mean, that's a guy's job. And a lot of times it might be, but it's not beneath us, right, to use our hands for labor. Because there's something about it, like when I helped my husband with the yard, when I did the chicken coop to the she shed, it felt good. Felt really good to do that. And it doesn't have to be hard labor. I'm just using these examples, but they're just simple and practical ways for you to use your hands to better your home. I think whenever you have a house, there's always going to be renovations you need to do. And in my opinion, it feels good to do something for your home and make it better. So hardworking looks different for every person, right? It might be hard work at your job, and maybe you sit at a desk, but you're working hard every day to bring something to the table for your family. Maybe you're a hardworking mom at home. That's still hard work. So there's a lot of ways you can be a hard worker. You can be creative with it. That's the thing about the Proverbs 31 woman. But you're not lazy. That's what makes the difference between a Proverbs 31 woman and one that's not. One that's not is lazy and not willing to put her hands to work. So this is why it's very doable. I'm telling you right now, you could definitely be a Proverbs 31 woman, regardless of where you live or who you are. It's definitely something you can apply to your life. Proverbs 31:31, New Living Translation. Reward her for all she has done. Let her deeds publicly declare her praise. So let's just say this. You're going to be rewarded by God for all your hard work. See, the Lord rewards his daughters. He's going to reward you for all the hard work you put into your family, to your marriage, to your work. If you're not married, what you're putting in preparation for your future marriage is going to be rewarded. If you're working hard towards being a better person, a better wife or a better mom or whatever it may be, putting in the work shows the Lord that you're earnest. And you're earnest. And the thing is, there's something about this that makes you humble, right? Because you're doing this hard work. And a lot of times we should be doing these things for the Lord. And so he looks to his daughters to show and represent. This is like being Christ-like, And so that's why it's important to do the hard work and know that you are going to be rewarded by your Heavenly Father. Proverbs 13:4, New Living Translation. Lazy people want much, but get little. But those who work hard will prosper. A lazy person will never achieve anything, but the hard worker is blessed. So if you're not willing to put in work, you're not willing to do anything, I'm telling you right now, you're not going to get blessed. You're not going to see achievement in your life. You're not going to be successful. That's just part of wisdom, knowing that someone that just sits aside and never takes initiative, that never puts in effort, they're never going to be rewarded or ever achieve anything. But those that work hard and you're diligent about it, I'm telling you, eventually it's going to pay off. Sometimes it feels like it ain't, but it does. Colossians 3:23, New Living Translation. Work willingly at whatever you do, as though you were working for the Lord, rather than for people. Remember that the Lord will give you an inheritance as your reward, and that the master you are serving is Christ. So do all your work wholeheartedly, but do it for the Lord, not for man. So what I found myself, when I do things for people and I work hard for people, it feels tiring. Like I start to feel like, oh, this is too much. Like I can't do this anymore. And it feels dire because sometimes people don't acknowledge you, or people don't really say, hey, you're doing a great job. That's, I guess, acknowledgement, but they don't really give you the reward you're looking for most of the time. If you do it for the Lord, if you work hard for the Lord, everything you do for the Lord, it won't seem like work. I started to really kind of meditate on that verse more recently, and I started saying, whenever I do anything, especially because a lot of times you don't get acknowledged. People just don't acknowledge what you're doing. You could be working really hard, nobody says anything to you. I have learned, if I put in my head, I'm doing this for God, I'm doing this for God, I'm doing this for God, it changes my whole way of thinking. And it makes me more earnest and more willing to do more work because I know I'm doing it for God. And it changes my attitude. I'm telling you, it'll be more positive, and I see it as something that's rewarding. So I always tell myself, everything I do it for the Lord, and it makes everything that much better. And it feels rewarding because you're like, I'm doing this for God. I'm doing this for God. And it is. It really will change your attitude about work. Proverbs 12:11, New Living Translation. A hard worker has plenty of food, but a person who chases fantasies has no sense. If you're chasing fantasies, you're going for the superficial things. You're more geared to, oh, I need to work hard to get that Coach bag. Nothing wrong with that, by the way, but if it's what you're living for, if it's always just about the name brands or the superficial things, oh, I got to get a nice car, then it's empty, right? There's no reward that sustains when you do for superficial things. But when you do things for the right reasons and you work hard and you have a humble attitude and you're really doing it just for the fact of the matter, like I said, pleasing God, it changes your whole perspective on things. So how do we start this? How do we make this possible for ourselves? You can start creating routines to simplify your life. Take out a daily planner. Schedule things throughout the day. Be more organized. And I can learn from that because my thing is I am not good with organization. I will be the first to admit it. In time management. That's something I definitely need to work on. But doing these things will simplify your life. So have a heart of discipline. Be willing to do things with self-control, because what happens is that makes you more able to do hard work and not be drained out, right? And you're just disciplining yourself to doing what you just need to do, you're not going to get stressed out. You need to create better work habits and work ethic. It's better to create better work habits and work ethic because that gives you more integrity. You will now enjoy the fruit of your labor when you work hard. And I'm telling you right now, this is after years and years of doing it the wrong way that I can tell you this now, but it has given me so much wisdom to understand that these things really show this humble attitude, this servant of Christ, right? And that's really what it is to be a Proverbs 31 woman, to be a servant of Christ, to be a good wife, to be a good mother, to be all those things. Even if you're not a mother or will not have that opportunity, there's still a way for you to be a spiritual mom. So I'll be covering that in a different episode. But there's so many great characteristics about the Proverbs 31 woman. And I think we all want to be her. And it is a struggle, but it's definitely something we accomplish. I can tell you right now, as we're going through all these characteristics and I was studying them, I was like, my mom has all these characteristics. And I have just always, like, thankfully had a physical, like, example of what all of us should be. Because my mom has, seriously, has done all of this stuff. And so I strive just more so to be like her. And we all have a role model. I know there's somebody in your life, there's a woman that you can look to. You see the things she does. She should be a godly woman that has these qualities. And so even if you don't, just know that you can go through this series with me and you can better understand what it is truly to be a godly woman. Because moreover than any of this stuff, all these characteristics, it's really to be a woman of faith, a woman that serves the Lord. So this is going to be a fun series. I'm really excited to share more about these different characteristics. And you don't want to miss these episodes because they're going to really enrich your life, and you're going to be seeking wisdom and saying, God, help me with this. And he will. He'll help you get stronger and better and wiser. And that's what this series is about. So let's close in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you so much for the blessing of teaching these wonderful women what it truly is to be a faithful wife and a hard worker. Lord, I pray that you honor this, and I pray that no one just starts to compare themselves to other women and get into that trap, but Lord, they just look to your word and seek how they can truly be faithful women to their husbands, future husbands, or to be a faithful wife to Christ if they're a widow. Lord, I also just pray that we are hardworking women that truly don't find ourselves being lazy and not trying, Lord, but to be good examples, ambassadors of what it is to truly be a servant to you, Lord. And I pray that as we go through this series, it's not about trying to earn our way into the kingdom of God, but we remember that these are just biblical principles that help us to be better, right? And to strive for perfection. We will never be perfect on this earth, but we strive to just get closer and closer to being Christ-like. And I think that's what this mainly is about. And so, Lord, I just thank you for this opportunity to share this with other women. And I pray that many women will be able to listen to the series and grow from this series and truly help their marriages grow and get stronger, Lord Father. And I just pray that the Holy Spirit speaks through me, and they will always be his words, not mine. So I thank you for all these things in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this series, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out so much. Also, please don't forget to comment down below. What was your favorite verse that I shared, or is there something you want to start doing and applying to your life from this message? I'd love to hear from you. Let's get this community growing, and let's help other women really grow in their faith. And before we leave, she was quiet today. She had been really rambunctious and involved in our previous episodes. Rocket, come on. She good boy. Say goodbye to everyone. Bye, everyone. Say bye. Oh, my baby. This is my fur baby. I don't have children, but I do have a fur baby. And I'll go over, like I said, in another episode. If you haven't followed me on social media, please follow me on social media. The links are down below. If you haven't hit that notification bell yet, please hit that notification bell. Well, I hope you have an amazing day. And I hope you stay encouraged.